I'm young adult author Mary Gray of marygraybooks.com and Monster Ivy Publishing. Today I'm going to discuss the third installment of how to create faith-based messages in secular stories. Today's topic is where and how to add our spiritual gems of knowledge via the sneaky art of subplotting. As a writer of slightly darker fiction, I tend to write antiheroes, main characters who are a bit more damaged. They're unusually flawed. I like these types of characters because they provide a great opportunity for showcasing how a particular belief or behavior is wrong. One of the main characters in Our Sweet Guillotine, for instance, is an executioner, not a noble profession. The girl my executioner loves is bent on revenge, not a noble motive. Cheyenne, my main character in the Dollhouse Asylum, which I'm re-releasing in just a few short days along with the audiobook, is in love with a psychotic killer, not a noble person to love. I'm not the only author who writes main characters who need a lot of improvement. Fyodor Dostoevsky, for instance, concocted a prideful, selfish, and psychotic antihero in Crime and Punishment, Raskolnikov. Raskolnikov kills two women for their money, asserting that he's an extraordinary human, thereby more deserving of the money than them. Victor Hugo, in Les Miserables, wrote about the thief and criminal Jean Valjean, who on the onset of the novel spent 19 years in prison for stealing a loaf of bread. But this experience taught Jean Valjean to fend for himself and only expect justice. All of these characters are flawed protagonists, heroes or anti-heroes, who need to grow a lot. To provide that growth, these characters often need secondary characters of conscience who can offer spiritual gems of knowledge. I call these secondary characters foil characters. So the first step to incorporating our spiritual gems into our manuscripts is 1. Create a foil character for your protagonist. Foil characters are often someone who's similar to the hero, but also opposite. They've already learned the spiritual truth our protagonist needs to learn. The vengeful Tempest in Our Sweet Guillotine is offset by Sister Josephine, a merciful nun. The greedy and murderous Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment is offset by Razumikin, a compassionate, caregiving friend. The jaded and conniving thief Jean Valjean in Les Miserables is offset by the bishop, who offers him a place to stay and food to eat, no questions asked. Foil characters often appear as mentors to our protagonists. Dumbledore is a mentor to Harry Potter. Obi-Wan teaches Luke in Star Wars. Bobby looks out for Sam and Dean in Supernatural. The most strategic way to utilize these foil characters, though, is to 2. Intersperse your hero's plotline with your foil character's subplot. When I plot a novel, I like to use Larry Brooks' story structure. In fact, he has a fantastic book called Story Structure, Demystified. This book teaches that there are 8 noteworthy happenings in a tale. We're introduced to the story with an initial hook. Secrets are revealed during plot points, and pinch points are when an antagonistic force attacks our protagonist. When I plot a novel via this structure, I not only do this for my main characters, but for my foil characters as well. In this chart, for instance, I have a revenge theme, or a need for justice. In Our Sweet Guillotine, Tempest yearns to avenge her mother's death. In Crime and Punishment, Raskolnikov believes he justly deserves prosperity and peace, despite being willing to kill to get it. And in Les Miserables, Jean Valjean believes the only response he will ever receive when someone discovers his thievery is justice. All of these have similar plots. Now let's consider the first plot point, when the action of the story really takes off. In Our Sweet Guillotine, Tempest destroys her enemy's printing press, but her foil character, Sister Josephine, gives love instead of stealing. She offers her selfless friendship, she offers a ring to help Tempest think of others besides herself. When Crime and Punishment's Raskolnikov is busy killing and stealing from 2 women, his foil character, Razumikin, is making an honest living, nursing his friend back to health, and offering friendship. When Les Miserables' Jean Valjean steals from the bishop who offered him a place to sleep, the bishop extends mercy and gives away his candlesticks. These different happenings should be weaved around each other as the tale unfolds. Even if the foil character isn't on the page, the protagonist can often remember the foil character's influence. Halfway through Our Sweet Guillotine, Tempest learns the truth about a person she idolized. About the same time, she's reminded of a memory of her foil character offering refuge to the downtrodden and succoring sinners. When Tempest wants to wreak havoc, there's always that shining example in her mind of how to behave, and she has to fight to finally accept it. Later on in Les Miserables, Jean Valjean is tempted to allow a man to go to a prison for a crime he actually committed, but he hears the voice of the bishop in his head, urging him to make the right choice. Not every choice our main characters make will be good. What fun is a story if our hero behaves and gets what they want right off the bat? So after we've created our foil characters and decided to intersperse our hero's plotline with our foil character subplot, we need to, number 3, use try-fail cycles to prove the severity of your protagonist's challenge. This is how we can make our foil characters beloved. They should be fierce in their work to mold our protagonists. Dumbledore doesn't allow Harry to continue gazing into the mirror of Erised, but he does give him an invisibility cloak to investigate Hogwarts. Mr. Knightley reprimands Emma for being prideful and unfeeling towards Miss Bates, but when she atones for her coldness by visiting and thinking of others besides herself, Mr. Knightley commends Emma and says she's the woman he loves. Our heroes should fail lots of times, and our foil characters should be in the bleachers, shouting how to change. Our foil characters can work to sway our protagonists by offering words of wisdom, showing proper behavior by example, offering poignant gifts, sacrificing himself or herself in the end. Remember, it won't be until the very end, after your protagonist's failures are numerous, that he or she will fully be able to heed their mentor's advice. This would complete his or her character arc. This has been the third installment of how to create faith-based messages in secular books. Next week, I'll discuss how to stay resilient against the adversary while considering marketability. My name's Mary Gray of MaryGrayBooks.com and Monster Ivy Publishing. See you next week.